What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the MLB Swing for the Fences show here on the Run Pure Sports YouTube channel. It's Monday afternoon, 8-game slate tonight. We got special guest AP joining us, filling in for JT Hayes. AP, how you doing on this Monday afternoon?
Doing well. Recovering from yesterday. I mean, Sundays are like always wild. And imagine having like a live final on a Sunday. I couldn't do it. And I mean, yeah, it's just like, I don't know, like, do you like when you follow it? And I know like you can't justify things based off of what day of the week it is, but we consistently see some crazy stuff happens on Sundays. We talk about it all the time. The Marlins go off every Sunday. They did it again in a tough matchup. And I don't know, DC. It's crazy, but hey, it's Monday, so things are going to be good today. And the slate looks really nice as well.
Yeah, the FanDuel final yesterday was on the Sunday, as you're referring to. Our guy JBC, what did he get, third in that, I think, in the FanDuel live final. I didn't see where Mangone ended up. I assume not super high up, given that I didn't end up.
I got Jake Swells. What's up, man?
Yeah. But yeah, that's Sunday for you. And yeah, I don't think they should do live finals on Sunday. It also like seems like it would kind of kill the buzz, but I guess football is always that early, so I don't know. But yeah, anyway, this slate 8-gamer looks like a pretty good one to me, honestly. I'm excited to break it down with you. And of course, we're in the middle of football season, AP. I know you've been jumping in the best ball streets a little bit. A little worried about Hollywood Brown going.
I mean, a little bit.
A little bit.
I think I have like 5 tickets left. I got a draft. I've fallen asleep during 3 drafts. I got 90% Mahomes though, so I'm feeling good. Feeling very good, and I have a ton of Rashee Rice with that over Hollywood Brown. So I feel good about that move.
Yeah, I got some full bags on the Chiefs offense this year for sure. So
I mean, DC. Yeah. I had Snyder chirping me the other night too. Like when Hollywood Brown got hurt, like he sent some text like, "Oh, this little boy over here is already hurt. You guys are in trouble." I'm like, "All right, Snyder, all right, we'll get the Chiefs hate early and often. I absolutely love it." Yeah,
sorry he hurt his shoulder. He'll be back 4 or 5 weeks, and yeah, can't wait for Baltimore and Chiefs. That'll be a good me and Snyder maybe need to do a show for that opening showdown. We can tell them what's up between the Chiefs and the Ravens. No football talk, though. Let's get into the baseball. We start out in Boston. Going to be a pretty good day to hit here, I think. 70 degrees, humid, some winds blowing out to right field. No Jarren Duran in the lineup for the Red Sox, suspended for 2 games. So they'll go without him for a couple. They'll go up against Tyler Mahle, who made his return to the big leagues after a long absence. Last time out against Houston, pitched okay in that game. I think he's just going to kind of be average-ish for as long as he can stay healthy these last couple of months of the season. I still do think the Red Sox are a decent target with, even with one of their best players out. And then Brian Bayo going for the Red Sox. He's been okay as well. Does have some problems against lefties, but has generally pitched pretty well this year. I don't think I'm getting to either of these pitchers tonight, AP, but some interest in the bats here. Really the lefties kind of on both sides of the ball for me. What about you? What are you doing with the first game of the night, Texas and Boston?
Yeah, anytime Boston gets a righty on the mound, I'm going to have a little bit of interest, especially in Fenway. Yeah. Winds blowing out, temps in the 70s. Usually they're going to profile, very, very nicely. Obviously, no Duran in the lineup, kind of hurts there, but you still have some lefties that you can go to. And look, like I think they're going to be pretty low owned. So in large field tournaments, if you're 115, they make for a great leverage stack. I just think on this slate there are a few spots that I'm really gravitating towards that I just think are really, really excellent spots for stacks. Kind of also like obvious as well. So if you think this is a slate where chalk is going to consolidate around a few spots, which that's kind of what I think Boston makes for a nice contrarian path tonight. Just fire up the lefties against Tyler Mahle, and hopefully Boston gets after it early and often. And then against Brian Bayo, I feel like, oh man, we got VIP and Vip, our boy Vip in chat too. Like anytime I play his Rangers, they suck. They're absolutely terrible. They're ass cheeks yesterday, probably going to be ass cheeks again tonight, but not a bad spot, especially these lefties, Corey Seager, Josh Smith, Nathaniel Lau. I mean, you got Josh Jung in there as well. I mean, this lineup is just a lot better right now. So I actually like the Rangers side a little bit more than the Boston side, just because I think their lineup looks and feels more complete. Even though, like DC, I've stacked them up a lot, and I've had zero success with it. And anytime I do, I always tag our boy Vip in chat, just letting them know that, hey, his Rangers let me down once again. And likely we'll do it again tonight, but we'll see.
I get very confused when you call him Vip. He's always has been and always will be VIP to me. That's never going to change. It's just so yeah. Apparently, it wasn't meant to be VIP, but given all the fantastic vacations and everything else he's posted, it's hard not to refer him as Mr. VIP. But yeah, I agree with most of what you said. It is kind of the lefties on both sides. I think Corey Seager in particular looks like a really good play. Nathaniel Lowe as well. And then I know I'm naming kind of the studs on both teams, but Devers, Abreu, and then Nick Sogard were the three guys I was most focused on in Boston. I don't know if I'll get into many full stacks here, but definitely picking off some one-offs, trying to maybe get some of the power bats into my lineup looks pretty good to me for Boston.
Hey, DC, did I already pull a Mangone? I mean, it's Nathaniel Lowe, but it's Brandon Lau, right? That's where I always get mixed up.
I've been.
Is that right?
I'm on the record as not knowing and not being able to remember and just accepting
I have
it.
no idea.
I just call them whichever one comes out of my mouth on that given day, because I don't know. I just cannot keep those two names straight when they're spelled the same. So just me. I'm honestly not even sure which one it is. I know most of the pronunciations, so those two I struggle with. Go ahead.
I always think this is an interesting question, okay? When someone asks, like in Discord, and again, it's a great question, Mark. It really is. Like for me, whenever I'm answering that, whatever my biggest buy-in contest is, I'm putting forward like what I feel is my most confident and best lineup that night. So that's like in single entry, like what I'm doing tonight. It's exactly what I would do. And if you're multi-entering, it's a little bit different. I don't know. How do you approach that? I know you typically are building 3 to 5 lineups.
I've been doing 3 to 5 lineups, 5 lineups most days. I actually switched it up just today. I do better when I come up, just like a little different playing style from time to time, where I get a little bit sometimes like stale or just. Yeah, so I'm going to go back to 20 lineups today. I'm going to play those 20 in the flagship, the $3, and then the 88 as well. So similar amount in play, just changing up a little bit. But to answer your question, the single entry question, I think almost everybody does what you do, right? Where it's kind of maybe their first build and their kind of their quote unquote best lineup or more confident lineup. And I do think that leads to more chalk, right? The high ownership players are almost always higher in single entry than they are, in the flagship. And it makes sense why. I mean, if you're building, a lot of people that are making single entry teams are also, those are the multi-enterers, right? And you just can't play 100% of a pitcher or any stack if you're multi-entering. So you do see ownerships kind of get, I don't know which way you want to say it, but watered down in the flagship or condensed in the single entry. So I generally have that strategy too, but I do wonder if that's where we see the most condensed ownership, to maybe playing your single entry team as a little bit more off the chalk could be a good approach, given that the high ownership we see, right? Because the chalk plays are just always very, very chalky in single entry.
I think, I agree with all of that. And I think just to kind of, go a little bit further, whatever your strategy is, stick to it. Don't deviate constantly, slate by slate. Like if it is, hey, I'm playing the best lineup, put in the best plays, the best stacks, even if it's chalk or not, stick to that, because look, it's you're going, and the same thing if you're fading it. Hey, I love this lineup over here, but I want leverage, so I'm moving to my third or fourth. Just stick with it, be consistent, and that I think is going to yield the best results.
Yeah, and one reason it can be frustrating, right? If you're playing a single entry and a bunch of stuff, and maybe you're playing some other lineups too, and sometimes you can, if you have more money behind that one lineup, it's possible to go through a kind of a long streak where your best lineup wasn't the one in the single entry stuff, right? And because it's hard to be confident of which of your 5 or 10 lineups is your actual best one. I know that's something that can be frustrating me to miss on that, for a week straight, which can easily happen just kind of by the odds. So I do better when I have kind of the same amount of money behind each of my individual lineups.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, and it's less frustrating, right? If you hit one good one, then it can hopefully carry you for that night. So, yeah, a little bit of strategy chalk. Seeing more questions in there. If you see any good ones, go ahead and throw them up there, AP.
Okay. I mean, it's a shorter slate, so what about this one? This is a great one if Steve Boynton was in here because he often will tilt like a chalky bat that hits a home run. I mean, you see that instantly in Discord. So what, in your opinion, what would you say qualifies as chalk? Pitching and hitting is going to be different.
I assume he's asking as a general question, not tonight, but chalk just generally refers to as the highest owned plays on the slate, right? That's how I think of it, at least. And that can, go. It's not a straight ownership number that you're looking for. It can obviously vary depending on the size of the slate. But generally, I think whatever position you're looking at, whether that's pitcher, catcher, first base, down on the line, whoever the highest owned plays at each position are the chalk. And then I would say whoever the, 2 highest owned percentage of cumulative stacks, I would kind of prefer or refer to as a chalk. I assume you have similar definitions, AP.
Yep. You said it perfectly.
All right. Kansas City and the Minnesota Twins up next. Pablo Lopez, Brady Singer, 2 righties on the mountain today, and 8 total in this one. Lopez has been, I would say, going back to that chalk word, one of the pitchers that has failed most often, I think, as chalk this year, including that last game, right? That Chicago game where the wind was blowing in like 25 miles per hour and he puts up a 2.5 against the Cubs. It's just, I mean, the talent is still there for this guy. It's hard for me to explain, at least, why he can't get it done in some of those awesome spots. I would say less than an awesome spot here today against your Royals, who do a good job putting the ball in play. And, man, I mean, anytime you've got someone like Bobby Witt in the lineup, right, who's just a tough out each and every time out, I think it just kind of lifts the whole team. So I haven't been playing many pitchers against the Royals. I think I will continue that philosophy tonight. I'm not really in on Pablo Lopez here. Not in on Brady Singer as well. I like this game. I don't like this game all that much, honestly. It's the Twins' bats that I think are most appealing going up against Singer. A couple of lefties, Larnach, and I was hoping, there he is, Matt Wallner hitting 4th. Those are my 2 favorite plays. They are also pinch hit risks, so be aware of that. But if we're trying to hunt home runs, those would be my 2 bets in this game. But overall, I'm not going to play a ton from this one. What about you, AP? Kansas City and Minnesota?
Yeah, so I saw this one, and obviously, been watching the Royals a lot closer now because all of these games are getting to be very important. All these series, very important, especially this one against the Twins tonight. Pablo Lopez, man, he absolutely owns the Royals. It's ridiculous. Go look it up. Go to StatMuse or whatever you look up to look up BVP stuff, and he owns them. He's got a complete game shutout against Kansas City. I think he's never scored less than like 15 or 16 DraftKings points.
Okay.
And he only his lowest was like 15.5. Did it once. Every other start over 20 DraftKings points. So the kicker is Kansas City comes in over the last month with the lowest strikeout rate on this slate versus right-handed pitching, 15% as a team based off of the projected lineup that I was looking at. So like on paper, this profiles is not a good spot for Pablo Lopez. If you're a believer in matchups and that this guy just owns them, then Pablo Lopez should be in your pool. And I wouldn't blame anyone at all. Like these games right now, grind it out, all very important. You're going to see it from both sides. Now, on the other side, when you're looking at Brady Singer, he's been terrible on the road, like absolutely terrible. I think we're both kind of, not believers in Brady Singer. And I've anytime I've talked negatively about him, like doing write-ups in the playbook, always comes back to bite me, except for on the road. At home in Kauffman, that's where he's done his damage. That's where his good starts are. But look, when you have Royce Lewis, Byron Buxton, when you have these guys in this lineup, tons of power all throughout this lineup, top to bottom, that spells a lot of trouble for Brady Singer. So I think the Twins are another pretty contrarian stack that you can go to if they can get to Brady Singer early and often. Who knows? I mean, this bullpen for Kansas City is, throughout the season hasn't been like a bright spot for them at all. So this could be a really nice contrarian spot for the Twins. And I mean, you're never going to go wrong rostering Royce Lewis and Buxton and all the power that these Twins bats have. So that's my preference here. I'm with you tonight, building my 3 to 5 lineups. I do not think I'll get to Pablo Lopez, but if you're playing 20 or 150, I do think Pablo Lopez should be in your pool tonight.
Yeah. I think that's fair to have some Lopez. He's only projected at 10% ownership, so I don't think he's a bad play at that number, just generally looking elsewhere. And yeah, I think the Twins could do some damage here. Good points on Brady Singer, and I just have a tough time buying into him. So I'll have no problems going up against him tonight with at least a few bats. Brings us to the Yankees and the White Sox. Luis Gil pitching for the Yankees. He's recently kind of rediscovered it. He had a month-long lull there around, June and July. But he looks back to his old self. Has pitched really, really well recently. Not the huge spike weeks, but we know he's capable of it when he's kind of got everything going, which I do think he does now. And, man, I mean, he gets this White Sox team that is they're a historically bad team. They are absolutely abysmal. They don't have any good hitters in the lineup tonight. I think that's kind of fair to say. DC,
their best hitter is Andrew Benintendi, right?
They don't have, like I said, they don't have any
It's crazy. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah, not a single. Listen, does that mean Luis Gil is going to throw a shutout? No. But on paper, they don't have a single really above average hitter in the entire lineup. Most of these guys are well below league average, including, a few really high strikeout rates. I mean, again, no guarantees in sports or baseball, but awesome spot for Luis Gil right now. He looks good. I don't see any reason really not to play him. I know he's going to be popular, but, Felico, Tony Broad know the difference between good and bad chalk. I mean, knowing the difference, if you can identify what's the good and bad chalk and play your lineups accordingly, I mean, that's the whole name of the game, essentially, in DFS, right? It's just playing the good plays and fading the bad ones. But I think Luis Gil is good chalk in this matchup. He's a guy I want tonight. 9K is perfectly reasonable. So I'm in on Luis Gil. And I'm in on the other side of the ball, same side of the ball, but the Yankees bats against Kai Busch and this horrible White Sox bullpen. This is a team, the White Sox, you want pitchers and hitters against them, everything. Just load up against, it's literally one of the worst teams in MLB history, like our guy Jake Swales said. So, of course, I want the bats. I want Luis Gil. In particular, Kai Busch looked like he's going to be a guy who gives up a ton of fly balls and home runs. It's like a 60% four-seam fastball guy, pitches up in the zone. I mean, what a spot for Soto, Judge, Stanton, Torres. All these dudes, I think, have very good chances to leave the yard against Kai Busch and, frankly, whoever the White Sox bring out of that bullpen. So all aboard the pinstripe chain today. I think the Yankees do some damage here.
I agree with all of that. So when I was doing the playbook earlier, when I look at this spot, I think pitching-wise, there's 4 clear arms, in my opinion, that kind of separate, and Luis Gil, definitely one of them. Maybe now looking at this White Sox lineup, no Luis Robert. I mean, truly, Andrew Benintendi is their best hitter right now. Maybe Andrew Vaughn up there too. Obviously, he has a little bit more power, but like, what does that say? That's just showing you like how bad this lineup is. And now, like, I think we're both all right. So we're both not Brady Singer guys. We are both Luis Heel. I've read a lot of your stuff. We both got on him when when did he get into the league? A couple years ago, I believe, right?
Well, I mean, I was on him in spring training this year. He looked awesome coming out, and you could just tell he had it. And then I pretty much rode him until he kind of sucked, but did manage to get off fairly quickly on that one because you could kind of see signs of it coming. But it really does seem like he has kind of put that behind him and rebounded. And I mean, I thought he might wear down at this point in the year, but it doesn't really seem to be the case. So, yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, and I think now looking at this White Sox lineup, looking at his best start of the year was against the White Sox, and that was when they had more power in their lineup too. So this is just an even better spot for him. What he put up, I think he almost had he might have had a complete game or pretty close to it. I know he put up like 40 DraftKings points when he faced the White Sox. This was months ago. So, yeah. I mean, he's got it. Like, I think he's one of the best pitching options out of the four that we're going to, at least in my opinion, that kind of separate. He's kind of at the top of that list for me on this slate at his price matchup, all things considered. Then, yeah, Kai Busch, you hit the nail on the head with that. When I went back and reviewed kind of his debut last week, this guy has a lot of average stuff. Yeah. I think the A's left a little bit on the table. They could have had even more fun.
He has nothing. He's just. Yeah. I mean, like, it doesn't mean that he won't escape this start without a huge amount of damage, but like, there's no way this guy is going to find any chance of long-term success with the current stuff that he has. So that's the Yankees have all these sluggers that can handle his stuff perfectly. I think, again, they're going to be popular. They're expensive, but again, I think go back to the same question. Yankees look like good chalk to me.
Yeah, they look like excellent chalk. Look at this lineup. I love when I'm looking at like a primary stack is what I call it, my 5-mans. I really want that complete lineup. So I talked about that with the Twins. I think they're getting close. Yankees, this lineup looks really, really good to me right now, top to bottom. Pricing wise too, there's a lot of different ways to make this stack work. I think this is where you do make sure that you're incorporating some rules. Like if you're 5-man stacking them, I think you want one of Soto or Judge in your stack. There's a lot, like if you just let the optimizer do his thing, you could fall on some Yankee stacks without Soto or Judge. And I just think that's the wrong way to do it. One of those guys is going off tonight, maybe for 2, because after Kai Busch, they get a really bad bullpen. So this is one of those spots that I'm consolidating on that I think is just really, really, good chalk that we want to eat. And I want to, find different ways to stack it up while incorporating Aaron Judge and or Juan Soto. I don't know if I'm going to be able to fit both. It's probably one or the other for me, but I'm fine doing that.
Yeah, I mean, if Soto, Judge, and Stan can't hit Kai Busch, then we'll move on to tomorrow. You know what it is. Yeah. I'm playing these guys. I think they've got just a tremendous opportunity. Love that they get guaranteed 9 innings of at bats too, especially with the state of that White Sox bullpen. We move to Milwaukee next for the Dodgers and the Brewers. Freddie Peralta going for the Brewers. I think we kind of know what he is at this point. Not maybe quite to ace level, a very good pitcher, of course. Not someone you really want to take a lot of hitters against. But at least in my eyes, a little bit overpriced at 9,300. AP, you mentioned you had 4 pitchers that stand out to you. I bet we have the same 4. I have a 5th, one cheap guy that I like, but I bet we're on the same 4 top guys. Obviously, only one we've talked about so far being Luis Heel. Neither of these pitchers made that cut for me. Kershaw has not really looked all that great since returning from injury. I know he's 7,700. I just don't really trust him right now. I don't think he's going to throw much over 85 pitches, if that. And I'll look elsewhere. Obviously, first ballot Hall of Famer, but I just don't think he's nearly the same guy that he once was. So not really on Kershaw. I wouldn't hate playing him, but not for me. And I'm not doing a ton with the bats here. Shohei Ohtani, always going to be a target for me. really in any matchup. I mean, you get, when it's a tough matchup like this, you get them at 8% owned or something like that. So that I still think is a good play, but I'm not going crazy with the Dodgers. And then on the Brewers side, the right-handed power looks fine. Sanchez, Adames, Contreras, Churio, those guys all seem like fine plays to me against a diminished Kershaw, but I'm not sure I really want to, stack against him. Just even with diminished stuff, he's obviously a great pitching mind and one that can probably, for the most part, avoid big blow-up starts. So not a ton in this game for me. What are you doing with Dodgers and Brewers here?
Yeah, Freddie Peralta, while I obviously respect him as an arm, he's not in the four that we're talking about. And that's just due to the matchup. Dodgers get Mookie Betts back tonight. That lineup's confirmed. And that is now coming to be a complete lineup. But I'm not going to be on it. Like I like to be very concentrated with how I play. And, I'm not running 150. If I was running 150, it might be a different, I might be, have a different thought process with that. But I'm likely under or completely fading this game. I don't like either arm. I mean, Kershaw on this, I left him in the pool, like on the playbook initially. But when you're considering that he's going to be like probably done after 80, 85 pitches on this slate where we have a lot of really, really solid options, I just think I don't think he's going to get it done. I mean, over the last month, the Brewers have cleaned up, their swings and misses. I think they're only striking out at, 18% clip versus left-handed pitching. This is a team, 19%. But this is a team that I used to love targeting with left-handed pitching. They've just cleaned it up a little bit with this lineup. They have more righties out there that they can throw at Kershaw. So I definitely have less interest in him, and I just can't attack this Dodgers lineup, even with Freddie Peralta. Maybe if I was running 150, I would have a few shares. But again, I think the pool of pitchers, the tight pool that I'm going to have, is so good tonight that I would rather just mix and match that combination of four as many different times as I can. So I won't have any Kershaw, won't have any Peralta, and likely under or fading the bats in this game. But I think it's going to be a great game to watch tonight. These two arms, Mookie Betts back, definitely one that I'm going to keep an eye on tonight.
Yeah, we're similar. I am mixing in, like I said, Ohtani and some of that Brewers right-handed power, but no full stacks for me on this one. Just kind of hunting some low-owned home runs is all. Toronto and the LA Angels up next. Davis Daniel going for the Angels. I was on him a little bit when he first came up, specifically that massive performance against Detroit. I've been kind of souring on him, I just don't think he's much more than, I don't know, a number 4, number 5 type starter at the big league level. So not going to be on him here against a Blue Jays team that makes a lot of contact. And then Bowden Francis, AP, I mentioned one cheaper pitcher that I'm on. This is the guy, Mr. Francis, who I did actually have a little bit of hope for coming in at the very beginning of the year. He made the Blue Jays rotation out of spring training. Did not go well for him. If you look back at who he faced, 4 of the 5 starts were on the road, and they were against the Royals, the Padres, the Yankees, and the Astros. We know, and then the Baltimore was his 6th start in there. So we know by now those teams are like really low strikeout teams that, some of the best offenses in baseball. He came back, made another start finally on August 7th against Baltimore. 7 strikeouts over 5 innings in that one, 81 pitches. He missed some time due to injury. I don't think, I know it maybe sounds like it at this point that I'm trying to make a case for him as some sort of ace or something. That's not the case. But I think he's better than the results that he's shown so far this year. And he gets, an Angels team that has a pretty weak lineup. Francis did also make a noticeable pitch change and a pitch usage change in his last time out. Pretty much ditched the curveball, which he was throwing like 30% of the time. Threw way more splitters. Got a bunch of swings and misses against lefties. Maybe that change sticks. Maybe it doesn't. I just think Francis has a chance here at 5,800. There are obviously plenty of big bats. We love the Yankees, expensive bats. So I am trying to save if I can. And he was the one guy that's cheap that I have some degree of confidence, and I think at least a little bit of upside as well. Again, not going crazy with Francis, but I will have him certainly in my pool. Not really on these Angels bats at all. And then pretty much just Vladimir Guerrero for Toronto. But I do want to make the note, man, this guy is on a different level right now. All the underlying metrics back it up. Ever since he cut his hair, he's been it's a weird, like, I'm not saying it's because of that, but
no, it is because of that.
If you want to,
it's 100% because of that.
Whatever it is, he has been
hot streaks, haircuts. I love them all. I'm a believer in all of them.
He is ripping the cover off the ball. You can look at, like Baseball Savant has like a rolling expected WOBA graph, and his is like flat. He cuts his hair and it like shoots up, and he's been the best hitter in baseball for the last month or so. It's just a fact, even not just results, but all the underlying metrics and everything. So I'm trying to make a point to get as much Vlad into my lineups as possible, even though I don't really love the lineup around him all that much. So just another, I think, elite one-off tonight. But yeah, Vlad, Bowden Francis I like, and not a ton else in this game for me. What about you, AP?
Yeah, I like the Francis call. When you're trying to full stack the Yankees, and especially if you're trying to fit like Soto and Judge in there, which is, if you find a way to do it with a respectable lineup, hit me up, shoot me a message. I'd love to see it. Because I think you have to sacrifice or punt at pitching. Because my cheapest in the 4 that I'm talking about, my cheapest one is 8,600. So that kind of gives it away.
We have the same 4 guys up top.
We have this. Yeah. Yep. And, but you go down to Francis, and if he gets you 15, 16, 17, fantasy points, and maybe there isn't as much separation with those 4 that we're talking about, it becomes an opportunity cost issue. Does the salary relief provided that Francis gives you, give you enough? Like, and what you need to happen is you need a 2 home runs from like Aaron Judge or Juan Soto, which seems like every single slate someone's double dogging. It's like
or Ohtani or Vlad, right? People that aren't going to get to those guys because they can't afford them with the expensive pitching. So you need one of the big bats, either the Yankee guys or better, an expensive bat that other people can't play. That's the real reason to play, I think, someone like a Bowden Francis.
Yeah, I agree, and it's worked. You've had a lot of success with that this year, this season. So yeah, if you have a read on someone like that, I'm probably gonna put him back into the playbook today. I thinking about it now, like I'd probably rather play him over Kershaw just because we know you're limited, from a pitch count standpoint. So this game though, like the Blue Jays, when you full 5-man stack them, they've just been terrible, like absolutely horrendous. I think they work good for a 2-man stack, and I like my boy Alejandro Kirk, 3,100 at that catcher position. I think he's fine. And then, I want to say Vlad Guerrero Jr. I can't roll Guerrero.
There you go.
I can't do that. The roll in your R's, is that right? I can't, like, in my mind, while I would love to play him, I'm saving those expensive bat spots for Soto, Judge. There's a few in the Diamondbacks game that I really like, even the Padres tonight. So I don't know if I can get to Vladdy, but I do think the Blue Jays make for a fine 2-man stack or pull like one-off bats from this game. And I'm looking at the cheaper hitters, which honestly I might regret, because the reason the Blue Jays have been horrible has been everyone outside of the guys that I just talked about. So I'm going to have to rethink that. But I do think the Blue Jays are in a good spot against Davis Daniel. The Angels, I didn't really have a strong opinion on. And so that hasn't changed much, especially since with what you said about Francis. I don't think I'm going to be playing any Angels bats here. So, definitely more on the Blue Jays side, but I don't think I'm going to get any 5-man Blue Jays stacks. And outside of Francis, likely not going to pitching here.
Jumping on board the Bowden Francis train. It's probably ends in a fiery wreck, but hey, we'll roll the dice on some Bowden Francis tonight. We get to the not the late slate, but over the West Coast. Arizona, Colorado up next. You just mentioned in passing his price point. Brandon Pfaadt, 8,600 as the lowest price of the four pitchers you're really focused on. That's the same for me, except for Bowden Francis in the mix as my cheap guy. But yeah, this looks like, about as good a spot for Brandon Pfaadt as you can get. He gets this Rockies team just horrendous in every way. They're not quite as bad as the White Sox in my eyes, but they are not far behind as an offense, especially obviously when they're outside of Coors Field, which they are tonight, going to Arizona. And Brandon Pfaadt kind of quietly picking it up as the year has progressed. He's pitched really well, has had, again, I think somewhat of a quietly good season for this D-backs team. He's pitched quite a bit better at home. I think that was the case for him last year, too. It's actually a pretty good pitcher's park when the roof is closed, which it is, all summer outside of the very beginning of the year. So, man, I like Brandon Pfaadt a lot here. AP 8,600. I see, frankly, a lot of floor with him against Colorado, but the Rockies strike out enough where he's got ceiling too. I think he could get close to 10 strikeouts in this game if things go his way. So I am absolutely in on Brandon Pfaadt. Full fade of the Rockies for me. I will have 0 Rockies in my lineups. And then I do think the Diamondbacks are interesting. But yeah, DraftKings has their pitcher listed as Blaylock, but I
looked into this guy. So have you seen the bullpen usage for the Rockies? It's horrendous. Like they have no one. I think this could be a spot for the D-backs where you have a position player come in as a reliever if they get to him early enough.
Quantrill's not starting tonight. I missed that. If that's so. Okay.
I don't unless I'm looking at the wrong stuff, because I was researching this Bradley
I think it's
Block guy.
Yeah, go ahead.
And where my notes on this guy, I don't think he's he has barely any experience, like above Double-A. I think he's very green, very average. I think the Rockies bullpen is completely beat up. I don't know what their plan is, but I know the Diamondbacks have a monster total tonight. They're massive favorites. And when you look at the bullpen usage, it's like everyone is listed, and it's if you go to RotoWire and all the colors, and it's like all of them are basically completely used up. So this is going to be a tough spot for the Rockies. I obviously have a ton of interest in the Snakes tonight, the Diamondbacks. This lineup looks really good to me. I think it's one that fits very nicely for 5-man stacks. You have basically a free catcher in Castillo, Adrian Del Castillo. Do you know much about him? I do not.
I didn't.
I just know he's cheap and he's on the stack. I love tonight.
He has 26 home runs in the minors.
Let's go. Oh, he's a lock. He's a lock for me tonight. I love my boy Alejandro Kirky, but if this dude has that many home runs and he's 2,100, he's gonna be in the overwhelming majority of my lineup. So that is a very safe bet tonight. Well, look, Jock Peterson, Josh Bell. This lineup, they're cheap. They're cheap relative to this spot, and I love that for 5-man stacks. So, just to be very transparent, I can 5-man stack the Diamondbacks, and then I can take a 2-man stack from the Yankees, and I still think I have enough to get a few viable pitchers in there too. So, that's on the surface the path that I'm looking at tonight. Assuming that the Rockies, assuming that the starter is who we think it is, and it's not Quantrill.
Yeah, a couple sites had Quantrill listed, so my research was based on him. But looking at Blaylock, just real quickly while you're talking here, a couple things stand out to me. First, he was essentially a full-time starter at the minor league level, but like I said, it's all Double-A this year. Through 85 pitches, 5 days ago. He's on his normal rest, so he's going to be out there. I think the Rockies' plan, like you said, their bullpen looks gassed. His plan is, yeah.
I have a question for you. I have a question. He's 4K. Is our boy K Falik going to will we see him in K Falik? Because he's a starting pitcher tonight. So look, K Falik, very, very, very sharp, very good at DFS. And I know how he plays. There's certain, like, he's 4K. Is he going to be a traditional starter? We think he is.
Yeah.
He might end up in the core tonight. I don't know. I would not rule it out.
I mean, listen, I've seen Falik do crazier things. So, yeah, it wouldn't shock me to see Mr. Blaylock at the core. He won't be for me. I won't be on him. I'll be on the D-backs bats with UAP. So splits-wise, I always like to look this up for pitchers making their debut. He was hit harder, way harder by lefties. 842 OPS allowed to lefties, 603 allowed to right-handed bats. So a very, very big split. Again, that doesn't always hold true, but it is a data point that I need to look at. And he also allowed 20 stolen bases at the AA level, just 2 caught stealing. So someone like Corbin Carroll, who I haven't played that much of, I think he's interesting. Final note I'll make, AP, and this applied to the Quantrill research as well, because Blaylock does throw from the right side. Rockies with just one left-handed reliever in the bullpen, Josh Rogers, who threw 28 pitches yesterday. So he could pitch today, but I would guess probably not. So it applies specifically to Jock Peterson, who crushes righties but gets pinch hit for a ton. I do think Jock Peterson makes for an interesting play. But, yeah, Adrian Del Castillo, the catcher, looks awesome. McCarthy. And I like Corbin Carroll in this spot too. So Marte, Josh Bell, those guys are obviously good plays. I mean, they're starting with 6 straight lefties and have 8 of them in the lineup overall to the Diamondbacks against a rookie pitcher who's been crushed by lefties, and probably no lefty in the pen available for the Rockies. Looks like a awesome spot for the D-backs. I was on them against Quantrill. But against
what are up with these comments from X?
I believe
we got this guy. This guy keeps saying "crybaby," like you're a clown. Like, are these real people? Is my question. Because the comments are so much different than what we have going on over on
these are
YouTube.
bot comments, or more or less, and I think they're referring to a recent tweet that I had today, and they're upset and triggered by the tweet, which was the purpose of the tweet.
We got Otani's interpreter in here telling us to shut up.
Yeah, so we'll just ignore those for now or block. But, to get back to it, really, really like this Arizona Diamondbacks team. And then I like Brandon Pfaadt as well. Makes sense, right? D-backs are minus 310 in this game. And the Rockies are, again, like I said, not as bad as the White Sox, but a team that you want to pick on both ways. Go ahead.
The other way to make those stacks work, Perdomo, man, he's been absolutely on fire, super cheap, batting 9th. Everyone forgets about these guys down there at the bottom of the order. This dude's been on fire, 2,600. So the expensive bats that we want are in the outfield too. So like we want to prioritize that position. Usually for me, it's that shortstop position, but not tonight. So I'm going to have a ton of interest in Perdomo. Like if you look at Castillo and him, and like you can make your 5-man D-backs stack pretty cheap. So I think it's probably going to be my heaviest owned 5-man stack, just because I do want 2 expensive, semi-expensive pitchers tonight.
Yeah, and with you on the D-backs even more so than I was when I thought they were facing Mr. Quantrill. Last 2 games to talk about. First one, Pittsburgh and San Diego. Joe Musgrove making his return from a long absence. Has not pitched since May 26th. Threw just 43 pitches, I believe, in his last rehab start. Yeah. And I don't think even, faced single leg hitters. So kind of weird.
It's a little revenge start right out of the gate, too. That's crazy.
I guess so, yeah. I guess long story short, I don't think Musgrove is in play here. I don't think he's going to throw enough pitches. He hasn't pitched well this season in general. So completely off my radar today is Joe Musgrove. Probably still not enough to get me on the Pirates. I mean, the guys that you would want, Reynolds, O'Neal Cruz, are 5.3 and 5.6K. against the Padres, who are trying to win, who will go to the bullpen early. Pirates, even though I don't think Musgrove is going to be good, I'm off of the Pirates today. I wouldn't be surprised if they did a little damage. I just don't think they're going to be the winners, and I just can't click them at their prices. And then Jake Woodford going for the Pirates, definitely on the short list for worst starting pitcher on the slate. I mean, I looked into him a little bit. I don't love playing the Padres in San Diego, and I was kind of trying to find a way to get off of them. But the further I dug into Woodford, the harder I found that to be, because this guy really has not much redeeming qualities at all. Just not any good. And this Padres team's, they're going to put the ball in play in this guy, and they could have some big innings. It's going to, Woodford, like, the only way he gets guys out is by getting lucky. You got to hit line drives or fly balls that don't leave the yard, line drives at people, rocket double plays, those types of things. And it happens all the time in baseball, but I'll be surprised if San Diego is not making solid contact up and down their lineup against Woodford. Just a question of, can they hit for enough power in a tough park, right, on a pretty big slate. So I like the Padres. I like them best as a full-on stack, right? Give me 5 of them, stringing together hits, getting guys on base, and getting it done that way, maybe not via the long ball, but in on the Padres here for sure, and then out on everything else in this game. What are you doing, AP?
Yeah, you broke that down really well. Can't get to the pitchers in this game. Agree with you there, even though, I used to be a big Joe Musgrove fan. We just haven't seen a lot of them lately. So, but not on my radar at all tonight. And then the other thing, too, it's like it takes a lot for me to stack a team in this park. Padres are close. If it was any other slate, I would be all over. But I think the spot for the Yankees and Diamondbacks is just so good tonight. Those are like my primary stack spots. I could see myself landing on like a 2-man or one-off from the Padres, but outside of that, I don't think I'm going to 5-man stack them. But I wouldn't want to talk anyone off of them. I think they're going to be a nice leverage, contrarian stack. Put them in the same category as what we talked about with Boston and with Minnesota with the Twins. I would put them into the same bucket as those two teams, kind of just on the outside looking in at, for me, which is the Diamondbacks and Yankees as my go-to primary stacks tonight. Should be a good spot for the Padres. It's just it's a big park, pitcher's park. It's going to take a lot for them to get it done, which they definitely could here. But I will not be 5-man stacking them tonight.
Yeah, good note from Brittany here. It is better hitting weather in San Diego than we typically see. Still, I think going to be a pitcher's park today, but a little bit better than normal. And one more game.
Almost 80 degrees.
Yeah,
that is a good call. That is a good call by Brittany.
For sure, I do like those Padres quite a bit. One more game to talk about. Good time to remind you guys, hit the like button if you haven't yet done so. Got a big crew watching today. I'm looking at this number, AP. Maybe it's the bots that are trolling us in chat, or maybe AP, your presence is bringing all the people to the yard for this show.
Not me. I wasn't even tagged in the tweet. How could it be me? Thanks, Rubio. No.
Well, normally people come in here, they see AP's not here, and they leave. But the number's been steadily climbing, so we'll have to get you on more MLB shows. But
we would all rather be looking at JTAs. I'll say that right now. Happy birthday to his wife as well.
Yes,
sent me a text. Took her someplace nice. So
very nice.
I'm sure he's getting the job done as he always does.
Absolutely. And hit the like button. You can sign up. I've got the QR code right below AP. You can sign up. I've got football season coming along. So grab the phone, scan that code, and go sign up for Run For Your Sports. Especially you trolls. Come join us. Come join the winners. The best defense is to show them some love, I think. So, glad to see everybody in here. Let's talk about the last game. We'll do stacks, pitching, all that stuff to wrap up the show once we are done with the Braves and the Giants. Fun pitching matchup here. 2 lefties going at it. Chris Sale continues to have a Cy Young campaign. And then Blake Snell. I've talked a lot about him on this show over the last month, being Like it's just insane the runs, both good and bad, that he goes on. I don't want to repeat everything I said, but I mean, essentially halfway through last year, he was horrific. Then in the second half of the year, he did enough. He was so good that he won the Cy Young Award. And then first half of this year was injured, could not get anything done, signed late from free agency onto the team, dealing with injuries. But man, oh man, since he's come back, really in the last month now, I mean, he obviously had the complete game no-hitter, but every game he has been just absolutely dominant or close to it anyway. He looks like he's Cy Young Blake Snell right now. Against Braves team that, you know, we like to pick on, I think is fair to say at this point of the year. It's gone kind of, 360 on what to do with the Braves. But I love Blake Snell here at 9,300. I like him more, frankly, than Chris Sale, who I do think is a good, obviously a good pitcher and a decent spot. I think right now at this very moment, Snell is the better pitcher between the two. And I actually fear this Giants lineup against lefties more than I fear the Braves lineup against lefties. So Snell's a little bit cheaper too. It looks like ownership-wise, I think is going to be close. Can pull that up real quick here. But AP, you mentioned, the four pitchers. I assume Snell and Sale were two at the top of your list of four.
Yeah, these are the other two that are very, very high on my list with Heel and Fott. I think they're clearly kind of in a category by themselves on this slate. I think this matchup is as good as it gets for Blake Snell. I mean, what do the Braves do, especially against left-handed pitching over the last month? They strike out 30% plus clip. What does Snell like? What do I always get nervous about with Snell? It's walking batters, loading it up, and then getting bombed. And I don't think we're going to have to worry about that as much tonight against the Braves. Now, the second I say that, I'm not even worried about that with this Braves team. They do look better on paper with Soler in the lineup, but I think this is I think Snell's going to get the job done. And Chris Sale too on the other side. I mean, if salary was an issue, I mean, I would be doing whatever I could to jam him in. The Giants also striking out at a very high clip against left-handed pitching. They have shown a lot more power with Fitzgerald, Ramos. Those two guys have been beasts, have a ton of power. Conforto, actually lefty, been pretty good as well. But I think Sale's going to, do a good job at limiting damage. So I love the arms here. I just on the slate, I'm struggling to get up to Sale. I'm pretty satisfied living in that Blake Snell, Heel, and Fott range. I haven't completed any builds yet, but those three look really good. If I can get to Sale, obviously it would look even better, but I feel pretty confident with those three. And I'm going to have a lot of Blake Snell tonight. So he's obviously those four are going to be the chalkier pitchers on this slate. But again, if you take a stand, you lock them in. I mean, you guarantee that you're going to be overweight in relation to the field. So that might be the path that I take with Mr. Blake Snell. I'm also I love playing this guy, and it's hurt me a lot. But at the same time, I think it was last season when he went on that insane run. We were just jamming him in like every slate. It feels very similar to that right now. So 9,300 against this strikeout, swing happy Braves team feels like a really great spot.
Yes, it's just bizarre. Snell's this is season career path, and there's volatile starters on a start-to-start basis, but Snell's volatility is
there.
Yeah, season to season, half season to half season. So with you on Snell.
I mean, being there, you got to have those slump busters in the rotation. I know you got many of those, so that's fine. It's definitely fine.
Yeah. And then I will say some of this Giants power against Sale, if you're not on Sale, again, I'm not stacking the Giants by any means, but they do have some guys who have a lot of power against lefties. Elliot Ramos in particular, Matt Chapman. They are expensive, but they're going to have no ownership, and you do get leverage against Chris Sale, who I do still think he might turn up as the highest owned pitcher on the slate, although I think it should be Blake Snell. Darnell S. Or that's the wrong comment. Here it is. Snell or Sale, same price. If they're same price in ownership, I actually lean Blake Snell straight up, just fantasy projection over Chris Sale in this one. But obviously, like both guys, just my personal lean. And I don't think most projections necessarily agree with that. But the way Snell's playing, that would be my lean. Let's get to the fun stuff here at the end of the show.
I might just jam him in. I've done it a time or two with him, mix and match. So
I mean, I like Luis Gil and Fott enough that I need to get those guys in my lineups, and then I like the different build with Francis. But just because of the price with Sale, I'm probably going to end up, I don't know, I'll have like 20% or something. I'll probably be just a tiny bit under the field. Let's get to this.
What do you think about this right here? I mean,
well, that's what I'm saying. Right? If you
Chris Sale's been insanely good this year.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think just at this very moment, I think Blake Snell is better. I do think that could turn against Blake Snell at some point, but like I said, on this particular slate, I would take Snell straight out fantasy points over Chris Sale. Let's get to the stacks, AP. A lot to choose from. Obviously, talked about a lot on this show, but what are you looking at? Your favorite stack and then your favorite contrarian stack?
Yeah, my favorite stack is the Diamondbacks. I mean, I know the Yankees are going to be the popular one. I mean, both should be popular, but I think maybe just the Diamondbacks goes a little bit overlooked potentially. And I like the different ways that you can 5-man stack them. So that's going to be my highest owned stack on the slate. Then what was your other question? Contrarian?
Contrarian stack.
Contrarian stack is I think I gotta pick on my Royals tonight. So and Brady Singer. I think the Twins they always break like it. They just always seem to do something to piss me off. So I can bank on that by stacking up the Twins tonight against Brady Singer, who's been very bad on the road. So I like that angle. And I don't think a lot of people are going to play the Twins tonight. Royce Lewis, showing very little. And his price is nice, too. Like, that's my one issue with the Padres. We're not getting a discount for these Padres backs in that park. Whereas, like, on the Twins, we are. Like, Royce, like, he's under 5K. Buxton's under 5K. Those bats just feel a little bit cheaper to me.
Yeah, it makes sense. Diamondbacks very high on my list. It might be my number one. I'll give a different answer and go with the Yankees, though. I know those are going to be two popular teams, but I do think to bring it all the way back, very good chalk tonight. And I'm doing my best to get the true big bats from the Yankees. To me, that's Soto, Judge, and Stand into my lineups as much as I can. And in contrarian stack, I will go with the Padres, who I think that park will hold down their ownership just a little bit. But for me, Jake Woodford is so bad that Padres is a team that I need to be overweight on. And looks like they're going to be sub 10% as a group, maybe some sub 5%. So they should be decently contrarian tonight. Pitching AP, your most important pitcher. Who do you think you're going to be most overweight on to compete?
Yeah, I'm going to say my most important two, Blake Snell and Luis Gil. And I think if I had to rank those four, I think I would have Snell and Gil 1 and 2, with Snell 1, Gil number 2. Probably then Sale and Fott after that.
Yeah, I'll give the other two. I'm mostly going to be off Chris Sale tonight. I don't think he's a bad play, but Gil and Snell I'm going to be on, and then Fott, and then Bowden Francis, I guess, is going to be a guy I'm clearly overweight on, partly because he's only going to be, 5% owned. I will have 25.
I gotta add a lineup just to play him for you, out of respect, and because it makes the expensive stacks work. So I like that call. I definitely do. I'm going to add him to the playbook, and I'm going to play him in one.
Yeah, he's risky for sure, but usually $5,800 pitchers are, and he'll have no ownership. So I'll be riding with that on a fair amount of my lineups. Home run call, AP. Who's going yard?
Being there, just cracking me up. Who goes yard? I mean, I think a lot of a lot of bats will go yard tonight.
Pick a good one then, because they got to go yard.
I am. I'm going to go with our 2100 catcher in Del Castillo. Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Adrian Del Castillo.
Couldn't even pick him out of a lineup, but he's going to be my home run call tonight.
You'll be able to pick him out after he ships you something tonight. Mr. Adrian Del Castillo. I'm in on him as well. But I will go with Gleyber Torres hitting 6 for the Yankees against Ty Bush.
Let me I was going to say Perdomo, but I just think he's going to get on base multiple times, and he's going to do his damage that
that's
way,
the next
which is what
question.
he usually does.
Your favorite hitter on the slate. You can choose your guy Perdomo.
Perdomo. Okay, 2600 shortstop. Like and again, I'm hoping that the Bobby Witts of the world kind of underwhelm, and it creates kind of this opportunity cost to where punting at shortstop is kind of what elevates us. And I'm going to use Perdomo batting 9th for the Snakes, 2600. He's been on fire right now, so that's my most important hitter tonight.
I'll go with Jackson Merrill. Both my guys hitting 6th. He, for the Padres, crushes righties, but swinging a good bat, and gets Jake Woodford, who I love that matchup, obviously, for everyone on the Padres, but specifically for Jackson Merrill. That'll do it for MLB Swing for the Fences. We appreciate the support. All you guys watching, hit the like button on your way out if you haven't yet done so. This show will be back for another big slate, same time, same place tomorrow. Until then, he's AP. I'm Draft Cheat. We're out of here.